course, I'm your co-host and the co-founder of this thing, and I do a whole bunch of stuff in the field. And so, listen, a couple of things here. First of all, we got an amazing star on our show today. She's awesome. Before we get to that, check out the One Moment Journal. It is officially completed. It is officially live. It is one moment journal.eth.link. That is e.eth.link. Check it out. It is a daily reflection journal for 365 days of the year, or 366 if you count leap year, right? Um, Check it out. It is phenomenal. It captures a lot of different traditions, ideals from people, whether it's different religions, different spiritualities, women, thought leaders, and I am constantly going to be updating it, as time goes on. But it is completed, and here's the most important thing: it is on Web3, and it was put on the it was built via WebHash platform. Check it out. Now, with that being said, let's get into why we're here. And we have an amazing, amazing star, Sam Schritter. I think is
Yes,
how you
sir.
pronounce her last
Yeah,
name.
you got it right on the first try even. Most of those letters are silent.
Right. So she is coming into us from South Carolina, and it's interesting. She's right up the road from me. I think about 4 hours up the road. Last time I checked,
Yeah.
maybe three. It's been a while. Been a couple of months since I've drove through there, but yeah,
Yeah, we could have almost done this in person.
right.
It's just like it's driven. Met in the middle. Yeah.
Right. So, um, oh, you have authored over 30 books, correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
the most recent one,
The prodigal son, crackhead to Jesus freak.
that's an interesting name. I was reading that,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like, I know that cannot be the name.
Then
It
it is.
cannot be the name.
Do you want to hear the story of like the title and how that all?
Absolutely. Like, I
All right.
have to because it's so interesting.
Right. All right. Well, a lot of your listeners might not know what cardboard testimonies are. It's when Christians get together and they try to share their testimony in a very short amount of words, like two words, and then it's like a pre-Jesus and a post-Jesus. So you flip the cardboard, right? So mine said miscarried 2 times and pregnant on the other side. And it's supposed to be about how God has answered your prayer or changed your life. And so I was married to my late husband at the time, and I have better handwriting. So I was trying to figure out how to get his testimony, like narrow it down. He was an addict, he'd been bullied as a kid, all these different things. And then he was going to school to become a pastor. And I was like, I didn't know how to narrow that down to 4 words. And he came into the kitchen where I had this huge piece of cardboard on the floor. He's like, Sam, what are you doing? Crackhead? Jesus freak. And I was like, okay, that's it. Like that was his cardboard testimony. It was crackhead, Jesus freak. And that became the subtitle of the book. He named it years before we even ever started writing the book together. And and then for his celebration of life service, the pastor who gave the sermon had also visited him in jail, which is not something that you can say every day. But he and pastors have a like a VIP access to jails and hospitals. The visiting hours don't matter to them. They don't have to do the thing with the glass in between and the phone. So this pastor was sitting across a table from Clint and was able to like reach out and touch him. And Clint had his head in his hands. He was just filled with shame and remorse for what had happened. And we can get into like more of because he had caused a drunk driving accident as a pastor, had relapsed and drank and drove. So there was a lot of shame associated with that and front page news. Anyway, this pastor, Clint had the prodigal on one arm and son tatted to the other arm. And this pastor said, I wanted to reach over with a Sharpie marker and write apostrophe S at the end of prodigal because we are all prodigal children of a prodigal God. And he talked about that in the celebration of life service. So that became the title, The Prodigal's Son, Crackhead to Jesus Freak.
I love it. That is
Yeah.
so interesting and so cool and so sad at the same time.
Right, right. But Clint, his name was Clint. He messed up, right? He was a drug addict. He drank and and relapse in the first couple of years of our marriage, which that part's in the book too. I didn't want to write the story because I knew it was going to mean sharing some dark moments in my own life that I had lived with him. But then he was sober for 9.5 years and ended up relapsing. And like I said, front page news, Minnesota pastor drinks and drives, and they had his mugshot with the abrasions on his face, like plastered all over newspapers and stuff. And we couldn't go into restaurants because people were looking like they were whispering about us while talking about us and stuff. It was miserable. So he faced all that shame, and he realized in the midst of that that God still loved him anyway. And he wanted people to know, like, hey, if God can take a screw up like me and use him for good and still loves him, then God can use anyone and God loves anyone. And so that's the message of the book. Like, no matter what you've done, God loves you. And no matter what shame you feel about yourself, you are still worthy of being loved.
I'm glad you shared that because too, I think, and I want to emphasize this. I think, and I know, and I see all the time that people get into recovery, whether it's early recovery or maybe they're struggling, constantly relapsing, and there's
Mhm.
these internal messages or internal thought processes where people feel shame, they feel that guilt, they feel that remorse, they feel that, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not loved
Mhm.
enough, I am, I just want to end it, or whatever the thought process might be.
Right.
And it's sad because you try to work with these folks, you try to give them that hope and that encouragement, and it's almost like beating a brick wall. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why, like, I use profanity in this book. It's a book that talks about God and his relationship with God, but I use profanity because and Christians, a lot of like conservative Christians are like, you can't do that. You can't publish it that way. I'm like, I'm gonna I'm gonna do it anyway because those are the people I'm talking to, the people that think I'm a piece of garbage, I'm a piece of trash. And that's not the word they're using, right? But I'm a piece of garbage. And so you want to go to the place where they are and use the words that they use about themselves. And then they get to the end of the book, and Clint's in bed, sick with cancer. And he says, Sam, I think I finally love myself. And they can see his whole transformation of how he got from believing he was a piece of garbage to finally understanding that he was worthy of love. And you you go on the journey with them, right? And that's my goal. That's my heart for people to know, like, hey, you're not alone in this. Even a pastor struggled to think that he was not good enough and think that people didn't love him, think that he was unworthy of love. Like, everyone battles shame. Everyone battles that feeling of insecurity and unworthiness.
And no, I am so glad that you mentioned that, because I think, well, one, do let me say this. It's
All right.
interesting you said that because this morning when I woke up,
All right.
I did a post on social media and I said good buenos dias,
Right
from BFE, North Carolina. And I talked about how it is, we live in a materialistic world. And I said, I want you to go out today and let's all get away from that and just be for today. That's the
on.
goal for today. So it's interesting that you said what you said because I'm like, I know she was reading my social media post this morning.
I must have been, but I was no, I was not. I'm writing like a fiend at the moment. Like, just I have a story in my head, so I'm trying to get it out before it goes away. So,
Right. I love it. I love it. Now, what I have to ask, okay,
sure.
what prompted you to write both of these?
He asked me to. I didn't want to. So the story opens with his drunk driving accident, and he got in this drunk driving accident on a Saturday night. He's a pastor, so he was supposed to be preaching the next morning, and he woke up in the hospital instead. Excuse me. And and then so I got this call at 1:30 in the morning, Miss Evans, there's been an accident. And then I got a call 6 hours later. Miss Evans, this is a hospital calling. We found something on the CAT scan. You need to come in right away. Don't bring your children. They found cancer. When they scanned for broken bones and internal bleeding because of the car accident, they found cancer, stage 4 cancer. And so that was my life. It was a Chernobyl, just uh, somewhere in the midst of that. He lived 20 months diagnosis to death. And somewhere in the midst of that, he said, Sam, what are the chances I would be married to an author whose best work comes from wounds? I want you to interview me and I want you to write my story. So I busted out my audio recorder and I have about 6 hours of audio of him telling me about like growing up and the first time he told a lie because he didn't feel like he was good enough. Like he actually remembered that moment. They had fight clubs in first grade where the kids would like go out to the playground and like fight for pretend. But then there was one day the fighting was no longer pretend for him. And he actually got in a true fight with a kid, which led to like being bullied, which led to bullying and drug use, drug addiction, things like so. It was like this progression, and that's how it was for him. And he shared all of this with me in audio interviews, and so I didn't decide to write the book like, oh, I think this would be really fun. I, he was like, I want you to write this. I want you to share the story with other people. They need to hear it. So, and he passed away in 2019. It took me 7 years to finish writing the story after he passed away. Or yeah, about that.
Wow, that is interesting. And of course, it's the same cliche that everybody gives you. I'm sorry to hear about your loss.
Thank you.
Um, absolutely. And so a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of remorse. I have to ask, okay, I have to because a lot of people don't hear it from the spouse's
Mm,
perspective. Does that make
hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
So, what was your experience dealing with that, dealing with the active addiction, dealing with all of that? Like, what was your experience with that?
Well, so first of all, I just want to say the book is written from two different perspectives. I write it from my point of view if people are interested in that, and I also write it from his point of view as the addict. Just so there's both pieces there. It was I grew up like good Christian girl, really naive about drugs and alcohol and addiction and things like that. So we got married and he relapsed in the first few years of our marriage. I had no idea what to do. I good Christian girl, he relapsed within a few months. I didn't want to be divorced within a few months. Like I don't even know if we were done paying for the wedding at that point. And it was like I didn't want the I didn't want the shame of like, oh, you just what I was really, really worried about what people thought. I didn't want to feel like a failure for giving up on my marriage that soon. We bought a house, so there was like a financial investment. So I was invested in our relationship. And then I learned what addiction meant. And there's some pretty bad fights because he was an aggressive drunk and I egged him on when I didn't understand what I was doing. Um, so that's in the book. But we lived in Chicago. We called it our dark years because I actually ended up having to call the police on my husband, which not many people will have to do. It was That's hard. It's hard to call 911 and say, my husband is out of control drunk and I need you to come over here. And I that call, I actually it was when landlines were a lot more prevalent, right? So I grabbed the landline from the house and I ran out to my car and locked the door and prayed that it would still be connected, and it was like a fizzy connection. I was like, God, please just, let the connection come through. Because he ran out, he chased me out of the house and he was pounding on the car door. I was terrified. He he and I went through a lot of counseling and a lot of support network. And then I don't know if I would have been able to stay in that relationship if he hadn't gotten sober. One of the things that he asked me to do was I was looking for a job at the time, and he's like, "Can you find a job in another area because I want to get away from," like, he had a drug dealer at the time. It was just pot, I believe, but I need to get away from my dealer. I need to get away from this environment. Can you get a job somewhere else so I can have a fresh start? Sure. So we moved to Oregon. He got drunk one night. I forgave him because he was trying to get clean. He wanted to be clean, and I could see that in him. And then the second night, I was ready for divorce. I was this is the second time he got drunk. I was like, "I'm done. You I moved across the country for you, and I can lose my job over I had a job at a church at the time. I can lose my job over this if you are getting drunk and we're getting in these fights and stuff." So, that was the second time, and there's a lot of prayer that went into it. I would not recommend I would never look at a spouse who's being abused or who is dealing with an alcoholic or a drug addict spouse and say, "You should stay with your husband. You should stay with your wife." I would never recommend that to anyone, but I would also be hesitant to tell someone to leave because everyone's story is their own. People have to kinda navigate that themselves. If you're in a dangerous situation, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. But maybe that just means taking a break, not giving up on your marriage completely, just getting yourself into a safe setting and then reevaluating what can I do? Where can I go from here? So so the third night that he got drunk when we were living in Oregon, he'd been sober for 4 months at that point when he relapsed. He was so mad at himself that he stopped drinking cold turkey. I'd never seen anything like it, and then he was sober for 9.5 years. And on I was like, "Okay, like, we can rebuild," and the trust was never completely rebuilt, but I think if he hadn't been sober for those 9.5 years, our marriage would have ended somewhere along the way because it was so traumatic to be in that situation and to just be in survival mode 24/7. He wasn't drunk 24/7, but I felt like he was in survival mode even when he was sober.
Wow. I'm glad that he was able to get sober for 9.5 years. That's a miracle in and of itself. Now, do let me preface this, okay? My
Sure.
next question. I love what you shared that you will never tell somebody to leave or stay or anything. Like
Mhm.
everybody's journey is their own, everybody's experience is their own. And so, folks, the question that I'm gonna be asking, it is a serious question, but it's more on an educational level. So I wanted to just preface that part. Did you ever have to use the domestic violence hotline?
I did not personally. I was 22, 23 at the time. I didn't know what a domestic violence hotline was. I and this is why I say, like, everyone's story is different. I feel like in the moment, if people knew what was going on, my if my family knew what was happening, they would have been like, "Sam, leave your husband right now. Get away. What on earth are you doing?" But I just had this sense that God was not done with our story yet, and I had this weird faith in the back of my head that wouldn't have made sense to anyone else. So, looking if I was looking at my life from the outside, and because there was one night he put 5 holes in our wall. Like, he was raging, and, I was terrified, and I think for physical fights, that only happened, I wanna say 3 or 4 times where, like, there was one night he, like, grabbed me by the neck. There was another night that he threw a bottle of Jack at my feet, and it shattered by my bare feet. Those stories are in the book. They were very, very difficult to write, um, but I wanted people to know it's real. Like, if you're having to be in these situations, you're not alone. This really happens where you all of a sudden see red and blue lights on the other side of your living room window, and you know they're there for you and your family because you are in this traumatic situation. If you are being abused, get out. Get you are that is not okay. And it was hard for me to know what's the difference between ongoing physical abuse and a single act of violence that can be forgiven? Like, does someone just lose their temper? And this is a serious question I don't know the answer to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, someone loses their temper and they hit you. Not okay. But if it doesn't happen again, does that have to be the end of the marriage? Is there forgiveness? And then where is the line between, okay, this has happened 2 or 3 or 4 times, and this is an ongoing problem that I need to get away from? That's why I was saying I'm not going to tell anyone to leave, because there are so many different factors involved in domestic violence and abuse. And do you have an answer? Do you know what the difference is? And like, when should a person leave? I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Well, you know, you're right, and I definitely would agree, because I've seen it where I've worked with people where it was a one time occurrence, right, and it
Right.
was just out of rage, out of anger, um, and so and then I've worked on with people who it's a constant back. I mean, it's back to back, back to back to back situation, and so I'm like you, right? Like I don't approve of any violence toward anybody, period, regardless of um and I love what you shared, and I think that's really the important thing is if it's nobody should accept harm to themselves. Nobody should be or put themselves in life or death situations.
Hmm.
And so if you feel like you need safety, seek help. You know. I also love the fact that you shared that, it's not always about ending a marriage or ending this, right? Sometimes it's literally removing yourself, maybe only
Right.
temporary, right?
Temporarily. Yeah. Just get out.
Maybe on that. Both of you going to marriage and family therapy counseling or whatever, right? Like there's so many resources and tools out there for people to use. So I love the fact that you emphasize that. To answer your question again, I don't think I know the full answer 100%. I don't think there's 100% one
Right.
solution because every relationship is different, every person is different, every situation is different. Is a domestic violence happening under the influence of substance use, right? And
Right.
whereas when they're not under the influence, they're the best husband or wife ever, right?
It's fine. Everything's fine. Yep. And he
Right,
was sober more often than not. So it's
and so
confusing.
right, and so that's my. I guess you can say that's my immediate initial response right now to answer that question.
Right.
Because I'm like you, I'm not going to tell a person to leave and never go back or to stay and then put themselves at harm. That is unethical for me to do either or. I can always encourage, utilize your resources, utilize the support around you, make
Hmm.
sure you're safe, make sure your kids are safe, make sure all of this stuff is safe. I can emphasize that, and I think that's where I definitely want to leave my answer there, because me telling the wife or husband, hey, you know what, just go and get a divorce, I can lose my license for that, for one.
Right. Right.
I don't want to lose my license. But if I say there's resources, if you need them, let me know. I'll
Right.
give them to you. I
And you
encourage
can
you to,
say take a break. Right. Like that's part
right.
of. Right.
If that's what somebody wants to do, I encourage that. Like I'm not going to tell them no.
Hmm.
Like it's about the safety of everybody, and especially if there's children in the home. It's the safety of the children first and foremost.
100%. And we did not have kids in the time at the time. I remember going to court to drop the charges, and I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I'd spent a lot of prayer in the situation, and people are probably even judging me for saying this, like, "Oh my gosh, she's so naive." And I went and stood before the judge and dropped the charges, and he said, "Well, I hope I don't see you here again." And it's like, "You won't." He's like, "I hope I don't." And I could sense his judgment. Like he knew that there were spouses that came in all the time and dropped charges against their spouse and then walked back into the exact same dangerous situation that they'd left or that they needed to be rescued from. And I understood what he was saying and what he was doing as he was saying it. I also remember a close friend saying, "You're going to know. You're going to know when you need to divorce him. You're going to know when you need to leave." She was my safe person at the time, and I was confiding in her a lot of what was happening. I also remember the day that we lived in a townhome, like it was a quadplex, so there were 4 together, and I remember packing an overnight bag and dropping it over the balcony that would land outside the kitchen, praying that he was downstairs in the living room so he wouldn't see the bag drop, and he had been. He was watching ESPN and just totally zoned in on football or whatever it was, and I was grateful because I was going to work and I walked down the stairs, walked out the door, picked up my to-go bag and put it in my trunk. Then at that point, I started driving around with a to-go bag, with a go bag in my trunk. And spouses, like if you get to the point where you have a go bag in your trunk or you know what a go bag is, it's probably time to reconsider your choices. Possibly, because it was super dangerous. But in my case, God had a story to write. And like I said, we had 9.5 years of sobriety. When I caught him with the alcohol, I caught him once and I was in denial. Like everything's fine. He's a pastor, everything's fine. I was like, you need to get help. And it was a whole situation that led up to that. But I was like, you need to get help. You have to get help. Okay. And then I let it go. I dropped it. Well, then fast forward, 6 months, and 2 days before his drunk driving accident, I had to come to Jesus with him. I am not doing this again. I'm not doing Chicago again. I'm not doing the violence. We have 3 daughters at this point. If you get drunk again, I am taking our children and I'm leaving. I am not putting them through those loud arguments and the physical fights. That's not okay. I'm not doing it. And if you've ever looked at an addict in the eyes there's a defiant look, there's an angry defiance. And so in his head, he was thinking, I can't drink at home. I can't drink at home. I can't drink at home. Played football with friends. He was on a semi-pro team at the time, so it was practice. And on the way home, he stopped at a gas station, grabbed the little things on the side of right next to the register, drank them, and the alcohol hit him a lot faster than it had when he was 16 because he had not been drinking as much. So that was what caused the drunk driving accident that night. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I'm silencing it now.
I'm not worried about that. Wow, that is sad. Because people, what I have seen is, through my work and even through my own personal experiences, we will justify anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I started laughing, not because of the situation, but like how he was justifying in his spirit, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, I can't drink at home. I can't drink at home. I can't drink at home. And I'm like, that is so alcoholic addiction thinker right there. Because
I just won't do it around her. I'm fine.
I mean, I work with so many people, and it's like, okay, listen, let's talk about this delusion for a moment.
Oh, yeah. If you want another funny story, so he was driving home. The alcohol hit him while he was driving, right? It doesn't hit you right away. So he drove, and then there was one more roundabout, and then it was like 14 miles to our house, country road, right? Middle of nowhere, South Minnesota. He missed the turn in the roundabout because he was drunk. So he was driving around in a circle, and then he went back into the town that he had just came from. So I've always thought that part was like, if I could find humor in the situation, it was just imagining him like, where do I go? I don't know. I've had to find humor in this because I didn't know how else to handle it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
no, and I'm right there with you. Like I've done that sober completely, where I'm on a roundabout. I'm like, well, which way?
Which exit is it?
I have to drive and figure out.
It's gonna have some. Yeah. Yeah,
Whee! Let's go around one more again.
just for fun. Just mess with the kids.
Right.
They make you angry. This is our discipline today, kids. Say you're sorry. Say you're sorry.
Y'all gonna throw up today?
Um,
I can only imagine. Oh my god.
he had
Wow.
quite the sense of humor about it too, though. Like as a pastor, right? He had a congregation member come to him, and she smoked. She was addicted to cigarettes, and she
Mm.
was like, "Wait, you quit smoking cold turkey? How did you do it, Pastor Clint?" And he was like, "Simple. I started smoking crack instead." Like,
Oh god. Oh, that's a good response right there. Folks.
that's not the right answer, but it's really funny. I made you cry.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Listen. Folks, who if you were listening or watching us, we're talking about some serious stuff. Don't quit smoking by smoking crack, okay? That's not the
Don't.
answer.
Not the right
It's
one. Not the.
right. That reminds me of my clinical supervisor. She was in recovery for like 40 something years. She's still
Mhm.
sober. Like, and so she was like, Kevin, you know how I quit smoking? I'm like, how's that? She said, they gave me opiates while I was in the hospital. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
She was like,
done.
they hit me up with a lot of morphine and shit while I was in the hospital. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. Yeah, the ways people quit smoking, right?
Right. Right. I mean,
Well,
he laughed about the cancer too. There was a an oncologist that they were in the chemo room where everyone is sitting in a chair together, and he was getting his chemo treatment, and the doctor was like, just out of curiosity, were you ever around toxic chemicals? Clinton said, no, I'm a pastor, only toxic people. In the whole room. Like, yeah.
right.
He was
Okay.
really funny when he wasn't trying to be. Like, that was like his quick-witted stuff was amazing, and then like the really dry humor, and then he had these terrible dad jokes that made your soul ache because they were so bad. That was his personality.
Hey, listen, that reminds me of when I did my kidney donation back in February.
Hmm.
And I show people pictures. Like I don't break the guy's confidentiality. It's out of
Okay.
respect.
Yeah.
They're very Hispanic, traditional Hispanic family. So I don't tag them on social media if I say something about kidney donation. Like I've done stuff.
Hmm.
They have he has commented on my stuff, but that's his choice. Like I don't. I respect him, the
Correct.
family's privacy and stuff like that. So what like I can show pictures the day of the surgery, like the morning of before the surgery, like you can see how he's
Mm.
pale and gray. And then after the surgery, you can see how he's like absolutely looks Hispanic, right? And so I'm on my walker and I'm going in there. I have my dad with me. He's my dad's walking with me. We're out in San Antonio and at Methodist Hospital. And so
Yeah.
when I walk in the room, I'm on my walker, and you know how people can on walk with the walker, and he's got the medical providers in there. He's got the family in there, right? And I took one look at him. I'm like, damn, dude, you look like a Hispanic now. Your husband sounds like he or ex husband,
Late.
whatever the term is, right?
It's, yeah.
Late husband sounds
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's got a very similar personality to mine.
Yeah. You just throw it out there. Yeah. He played semi, was very white, and he played center.
Yeah.
So he and the offensive line decided to
Wow.
Oreo. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And they did it. They all together were the Oreo line. Like, and then the coach hated it, but he was like, Oreo line, you're up. Just- so,
wow.
but that was and the guys they played a team. This is in the book too, the story, but they played a team that Clint had been on in the past. So he was playing former teammates. And this guy is like, "You going easy on him, bro? You going easy on him? You being nice?" And Clint's like, "No, man, I'm a pastor. Nice is my nature." And this guy is like, "Nah, man, you baptize their ass, bro. Like, like you baptize them." And so he did. Um, but that was really funny. Like he got called out for being nice.
Wow. I love it.
We are buffering. Or
I
no?
love it. And that's I ain't worried about the buffering. It still
Okay.
records on your side. So
Okay.
um wow. That is
And
that is go ahead.
I just want, are we, I don't know. I don't even know if we're live or we're recording because it says
Yep.
live. So,
We are live.
all right, live.
Yep.
Perfect. It says live and recording. All
Yep.
right.
We are live on
The
Riverside,
one.
Twitch, YouTube, and X.
Perfect. All right.
I'm not able to go live on Facebook until May the 8th or July 8th or June the 8th, one of those 3 days.
All right.
I'm restricted on Facebook because of some stupid stuff that it was completely stupid and I appealed it. And I'm like, really? Like,
Mm.
yo,
That's been
whatever.
happening to some authors with books and like some of the reviews too. They've been getting dinged
Restricted.
for, yeah,
Yeah.
like
For,
just
yeah.
for random weird things.
No, right, right. I ended up getting restricted because I had a friend of mine who posted on social media, um, introduce yourself, but what almost killed you or took you out.
Hmm.
And so she was like, "Hi, I'm heroin and fentanyl," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." I responded, "Hi, I'm alcohol and drugs, all types of drugs." And Facebook banned us both or restricted us both because they said that we were trying to sell, promote, and encourage the use of drugs and alcohol. And I'm like,
It was quite the opposite, actually. What almost killed you?
right? Did you not see? Do you not see all of my
Oh,
social media?
did you read the post? Did you?
Right,
Context matters. Context
right,
matters.
right. Did you
Yes.
not read the whole post? You know. So yeah, so you're so you're struggling during all of this. You're struggling with your
Yes.
spiritual religious beliefs as Christianity, right? And
Correct.
being a female, being a Caucasian
Yes.
female, right? Being like all of the stuff and traditional American values, which is, till death do we part, and that, whatever that
Mhm.
saying is, in when
You
people
got it
get
right.
right,
You're like blah blah blah
yeah,
blah blah
yeah,
blah.
blah blah blah, whatever, BS, right? um, I, there must have been moments where you were just completely like just scared to go out in public.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I heard people talking about me. There is a couple. We had a local Hardee's where I went to write sometimes, and there are two old couples sitting together. So two old men, two old women. I didn't recognize them. I had no idea who they were at all. But when I walked past their table, they all stopped talking. I was like, mm. So they knew who I was, pastor's wife, like, this whole huge scandal. So I stopped and I stared at them. And they seriously, like, looked up and down in different directions. Like they just refused to make eye contact with me. They didn't say a word. One woman was literally staring at the corner of the ceiling to avoid making eye contact with me. And I just stood there and smiled at them. And then I walked away. Like I stood there long enough to make them feel like idiots and to let them know, I know you were talking about me. Shame on you. And I left. And I scolded them without even saying a word. I was pretty proud of that one.
Wow. Well, and that goes to show you though, and I'm glad you shared that because I do a lot of, when I'm in group therapy, I do a lot of teaching on, non-judgment and
Hmm.
non-judgmental, uh, techniques and stuff like that. And, at the core of who we are, we're just a human being who have who has thoughts and feelings, and just like everyone else around us, and who has walked this planet, and who is, in the future going to walk this planet. And so, it's not about, when we start judging, we start separating ourselves from one another, regardless if you're husband, wife, there's two
Mhm.
ladies who were talking about you at Hardee's, we start separating ourselves. And I think, and I do believe that as social creatures, we're not supposed to judge one another. We're not supposed to separate ourselves from one another, right? We're supposed to help bridge gaps and bring each other together. And I think that's one of our primary obligations in this lifetime is to work to that end. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. I I actually wrote a book. It's a compilation of poetry, and I entitled it She Told Them They Were Loved, because I want that I don't want to be buried with a headstone, but if I had a headstone and an epitaph, it would read She Told Them They Were Loved. That's what I want my life to be. I want people to know that they were loved. And so I feel like, I mean, we're on One Moment podcast, right? I feel like our life is a singular moment, and how what are we doing with it? What is our epitaph going to read? What is our statement, right? Our mission statement. um, and she told them they were loved, like, because I've learned so much about addiction and addicts from having to write the story from Clint's point of view. I learned that it's not a choice. People are not like, oh, I'm going to go choose drugs. The addiction chooses you, and you don't know what drug is going to be your drug of choice, the claw that digs into you, until you're already addicted to it. There's only one way to find out if you're an addict, and that's to take the drug you're addicted to. So that's my message to my kids too. You have addiction in your background, you come by it natural, like, honestly, please do not experiment with drugs, because you don't know if you're an alcoholic until you drink too much. You don't know if you're going to be addicted to crack or LSD or fentanyl. Well, fentanyl just kills. That's not even playing fair at this point, but um like, you don't know what you're addicted to until you try it, and then suddenly you're addicted. I had a friend who was a heroin addict, and she was not addicted to crack. For some reason, she could take crack and walk away, and it didn't affect her. But then one night, her boyfriend, who loved her, mixed in some heroin with her crack, and she was done. First time she took it, she was done. So I learned a lot about judgment, and how, like, we judge addicts. We're like, oh, if she just stopped using, if she just stopped spending her money on drugs and she went to school, or she spent more time with her kids, we look at them, we know exactly what they need to do to have a better life. And what I've learned is that addicts know exactly what they need to do to have a better life. They just have this hook in them that they can't, the drug is the one making the choice for them at that point. They're not choosing for themselves. If they could choose to be sober, they would choose to be sober. 100%.
No, no, completely agree with that. I think, when I'm working with substance use people, and especially the people who are like really early on in recovery, and they're just struggling, and they're beat up with that shame, guilt, remorse, and whatever else
Mhm.
you want to add to that list, infinitum.
Yeah, right.
One of right. and and I always question people. I'm like, listen, don't you love your mom? Don't you love, yeah, I do. Okay. Were you able to show it? Right. Like, that's one
Mm.
singular question. That's the most important thing that I think unlocks that thought process for him, and unlocks that understanding is, were you able to show it? Not willing to show it. Two different questions, two different terms.
Mhm.
Were you able to show it and demonstrate it? Well, no. How come? Right.
Mhm.
And I think it goes back to that and what you're saying, right? Are you able to show it? Are you able to demonstrate that you care about your job? Are you able to demonstrate that you care about your wife, your husband, your kids, your family, your friends? Are you able
Mhm.
to demonstrate this in all of your affairs?
Right. Are you asking me that? Or are you saying like that's
No, I
what?
was just saying
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, and it's hard when the drugs take over, you're not able to tell people you love them because you're telling them that you care more about yourself. That's what it feels like being on the opposite side. Being on the spouse, like being the spouse of the addict, I felt like he was cheating on me with a woman named Mary Jane, right? Or a guy named Jack. I felt like I was being cheated on. But for the addict, it's different. I pray that everyone is able to be free of their addiction, but it's so hard. And I'm never going to judge someone who struggles to become free of addiction, because listening to Clint share his story and then having to write it from his perspective, I understood. It's like a legion of demons that's chanting to you to go take that drink, which is actually how I described the night he relapsed after 9.5 years. It was a pretty powerful scene. Uh, and I call his addiction demon Legion. I name him Legion in the book, and Legion doesn't look like anything, but he is in multiple scenes throughout the book, telling Clint he's unworthy, telling him he's a piece of shit, he's a piece of garbage, no one loves you, you're a mess up, and all these things, whispering to him in the right ways to lead him to drink and to lead him into drug abuse and things like that. So I I think addicts are dealing with a lot more than people who are not addicted realize, and will never understand like how deep that runs for them.
No, you're right. I think you are right on that. I think there's this misunderstanding of addiction and mental health, and I've worked with so many people who have said, like, seriously, now I'm not knocking religion when I say this,
That's
but
fine.
they have said, well, if that person had Jesus, they wouldn't have schizophrenia, and I'm like,
Mm, mm-mm. I'm a Christian and that makes me cringe. That's gross. Don't say that.
right,
Mm-mm.
right, like, do you not believe that there's a structural change, a chemical change, physically, physiologically?
Hmm.
And the answer is always no. I do not think they would not have this problem if they had Jesus, or if they had this, or if they had. I'm like,
Mm-mm.
that makes me cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Inside, it makes me cringe because
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I look at people that say things that are that narrow minded, and I'm like, how do you not see what I see? How how do you not see the thing in front of you? Like, how are you so narrow minded and so small hearted? Honestly, it reminds me of the Grinch, right? Look at their heart. His heart was so small. How how is your love so small that you're going to look at that person and judge them for what they are, and you're going to tell them how their life can be better when you can't see the cards they're holding in their hand? Like, you're not walking in their shoes. What? Who do you think you are? Like, mm, mm. We're not going to go on that soapbox. This podcast would be another 3 hours long.
I love it.
Mm,
I
mm.
love what you're sharing, though. I love what you're saying, and it's interesting. I do want to touch back on something else you were saying.
We
You were talking
can
about
for sure.
your legacy, right?
Yeah,
And I swear you've been reading my social media. I think you've
I
been
have
following
not.
me on social media. My
I
post
know I need
yesterday.
to still.
Right, right. Yeah, I think I added you as a friend this morning. I
Okay.
think
Well, this morning. All right. I'll go edge you back.
right. My social media post yesterday morning. I
Yeah,
think it was yesterday morning. Yeah, it was a 22nd. I lied, not yesterday morning.
that's fine.
It
I,
literally reads, "If I knew today would be my last, I'd want my legacy to be remembered as," and I'll put two
mm,
bullet points up there. And then my question to people were, "What do you want your legacy to be?" And so, um, I swear, listen, you've been following me on social media.
yeah,
I'm
that's where I'm
telling you,
getting all
I'm
my
stalking
content for this morning. It's nothing original at all.
you. Wow, yeah, but no, I mean, I think you're right. There's this huge misunderstanding with mental health and substance use, and that's why we do what we do. That's why we are on social media like we are. That's why we try our best to go and do everything that we do, because I think it is about trying to break stigmas and break barriers, and It's
Mm,
people like you that help do that. It's people like myself and the other people who come on the show who help do that. Um, because what I have found is, the more we talk about it, the less stigmatized it is, the more educated people get. It doesn't matter whether they change their thought process or not, right? What matters is at least that seed has been planted.
right. Yeah, I mean that was the whole reason we wrote the book in the first place. Just you're not alone. You're not alone in this. You are not the only one facing this.
Yeah, right. Now, looking back now, right? Looking
Hmm.
back now, folks, do let me ask, preface this. This is a clinical question, but I'm not doing therapy with her.
All
Okay.
right.
This is
I'm
more
ready.
on an educational level. Okay.
I hope by now
Uh,
you've figured out that I'm a pretty open book and I don't have very many secrets.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this question because I think this is going to be a tell all for a lot of people who are in your situation, whether post or even during, right?
Right. No pressure.
If you had to look at yourself, maybe give yourself from during those moments, right? A phone
Mm.
call right now, and you had a minute to tell them anything you needed to tell them, what would that be? What would that conversation be? Something that you know now that you didn't know like then while you were in the midst of everything that you were going through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, I have the opportunity to write this book and to share my heart with other people. So for me personally, I would say don't give up. You're going to want to give up. You're going to think that you made the wrong choice in marrying that man. You're going to want to run away. You're going to want to hide. It's going to be really hard. It's going to get hard before it gets better. You're going to be in a lot of pain. You're going to cry. It's going to be more hard than I can even put into words. But at the end of that, you're going to change lives. There are going to be people who write Amazon reviews for the book that you share, and they're going to thank you for writing your book because it changed their lives. Even people who aren't addicted are going to thank you for helping them to overcome their shame. They're going to tell you that they've never been closer to God in 10 years because of the words that you wrote. So you just buckle up and you stay as close to God as you possibly can. And just know that on the other side of this, God is going to use that brokenness and He's going to take it and turn it into beauty. And you're going to get to be a part of an amazing journey.
It's beautifully said.
Thank you.
That's beautifully said. What do you wish you would have known early on during all of this? Prior to this life, prior to you being able to find humor, use humor, like all of that stuff. What do you wish you would have known early on to help you maybe, I don't want to use the word cope with it,
Hmm.
but it kind of fits, or maybe get through with it or something like that. Yeah, I think that's what I want to kind of, I think that's my
I
question.
don't I don't know if there's anything I wish I would have known because I learned so much along the way and what I learned along the way became part of who I am. I mean, I was grieving. I spent Mother's Day the first the first Mother's Day after he passed away was during COVID. So we were all stuck in the house together. And I remember crying into my coffee mug. I was hiding behind a shed in the backyard so the kids couldn't see me. Neighbors had a full view. I was weeping into my coffee mug because I was so overwhelmed with grief. And I wish I could have just told her like you're loved, you're doing the right things. It's going to be okay. But so many of those moments became who I am that I don't know if I would change it. Even the book, when I talk about people, for people who've seen The Avengers, right? The prodigal son, and I have it here just in case people are like, what does it look like? It's right here. Um, the prodigal son, crackhead Jesus Shriek, is my soul stone, and I had to leap to get it. The book, like, cost me my soul to get it. And it's, I can't put that in, I can't really articulate that any better, but there's so many moments where I called my mom and I was just weeping through a scene. Like, I don't know how to do this. The last 20% of the book I nearly didn't finish. I actually went into my garden and I was gardening. I was just pulling weeds and stuff, and I hit record on my phone, like the audio recorder, and I started talking through the scene where he was in the hospital. And then I went inside and I hit dictate on my laptop. I hit play on my recorder, and I let the computer dictate my words that I'd said outside while I went and showered so I didn't have to listen to them again. That's how I wrote the last scene in the book because it was so, so hard. And I honestly believe it's a miracle that there's a cover on the book because it took so much in me to write it. But I wanted other people to know you're not alone. You are not alone. You are loved. You are worthy of love. Um, the story flings here. I'll just read this part. Prodigal Son Crackhead Jesus Freak chronicles a Christian's lifelong battle against demons, addictions, and unworthiness, and portrays God's backlash of grace toward a man whom many branded unredeemable.
And that's the essence of active addiction. Many
Mhm.
people feel and many people see outside looking in that people are irredeemable or not worthy,
Mhm.
or not good enough, or just not part of society at all. And on the inside, I found that you know in the moment we're just living to exist,
Mhm.
and we're living to survive, but we're not actually living and experiencing life. And I was just talking about this the other day with somebody, and you know life changes when I change, but when I change, everything around me changes.
Mhm.
And I think that's the essence of what recovery is. It can be beautifully summed up as that.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. I've never heard that before. Is that one of your social media posts? It should be.
It probably should be.
Life around me changes.
Yep.
You got to write that one out before you forget it.
Right. And then you can go follow me on social media and read it,
I
and we'll
will.
talk about
I
it.
will comment. I was there when. Yeah.
Right. Oh, wow. Wow. So what is next? What is next? I mean, you've gone through that, you've experienced that. From my interpretation, you got remarried,
Hmm.
your kids are of late teen or adult age. Um, what's next? I mean, you've got this book, you've got other 29 other books.
Hmm.
Like, what's next on the table? Because you did this book and you've given hope and clarity and meaning to many people's experiences. You've helped them to, you know, overcome some of their shame, guilt, remorse, their experiences, their feelings, or what have you. Yeah. So, like, what's next for you?
I need to step out of nonfiction for half a minute because that, like I said, the writing the book was really hard. If I ever wrote a sequel, it would be called The Widow's Might, MIGHT, and it would be my perspective of just different pieces of the grief that happened along the way. I started grieving his death the moment we received the cancer diagnosis, and he died 2 years later. So, or 20 months later, I should say. So that would be if I wrote another nonfiction book, that's what it would be. I don't have that in me yet to write that one because it's too hard. So I'm stepping into a fiction space. I have a romantic suspense novel coming out in October, and I'm working on another one right now. So just having fun. I mean, murder is not fun, but romantic suspense, and it's fiction. Fiction is fun. Fiction is. I'm not actually killing people. My my daughter got in trouble at school for saying, like, "I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you." I'm like, well, just tell people that your mom kills people for a living and see what they say. On paper, I kill just in books, only in books. But yeah, so I think right now, well, I'm momming too, because my girls are 15, 13, and 11. So there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of emotion in our house right now in soccer season. So doing a lot of that, just doing a lot of momming. But just writing fiction for now and having fun. I would love for people to follow me on social media. On Instagram, I'm SE Schritter, which is like you can see my name right there. But if people go to loveunedited.com, which is a lot easier to spell, loveunedited.com, let's connect. They can purchase Prodigal Son and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all the things. If anyone joins the newsletter, they can also they get the first 3 chapters of the Prodigal Son for free to read it and see if they like it. So
I love it. I love it. And you said you are what on Twitter?
I am. I don't know. Am I Love Sam Evans on Twitter still? I don't know. I don't. One of them wouldn't let me change my handle when I became SE Schritter. I had this like identity crisis situation.
You had this identity crisis situation.
Yeah, I did. A whole like Mickey told me, my publicist told me I was SE Schritter, so I was SE Schritter. Okay.
All right. I just
Look
added you
up.
on X too.
You found me? All right. All
Yep.
right. Well, I was
SE
going there to,
Schritter.
yeah.
And you have a Substack. You have loveunited.com.
Loveunedited.com
Unedited.
is
I'm sorry.
spelled
Love
differently. No, it's okay. That a lot of people do that. It's crazy. I'm like, no,
Love
Love Unedited.
Yeah,
Love United
love-
is great too, but Love Unedited.
I love it. I love it. Wow. Loveunedited.com. So this
Yeah.
is part 1 of the One Moment podcast interview with you.
Are you
I
really?
have really enjoyed you being on here, and I would love to
All
keep
right.
you for another 3-4 hours, but I have finals I have to do. I have to go
Uh-huh.
prepare for a funeral tomorrow, like all of this stuff. So
Yeah, I have a book
So-
I'm writing. I have like 4,000 words left, so I just want to finish it. Just so close.
throw it in the
So-
grok. You'll be all right.
Right.
Be like, yo, grok, give me 4,000 words. This is the subject. This is the idea. This put everything
No.
together, then resend it.
No.
I'm kidding.
It's
No,
so
I'm
bad.
actually getting grok to help me build a web page
Well, that's
for people
different than
for
trying.
people for like early recovery if they're struggling with like cravings
Mm.
and stuff. So
Mhm.
I've already built 6 PDF documents with,
Mm-hmm.
Grok has given me. It's it wants me to, or I'm thinking about using it to also for people to purchase like workbooks,
Mhm.
like I'm thinking about doing something like that too, and getting Grok to help put that together.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I accidentally fell into this trap. I decided to throw my name in the bid for Kevo for president, right? And I'm not going to go nowhere, but I'm gonna just do some BS video stuff and throw it out there on social media. And I'm a nobody. Ain't nobody going to vote for me. I'm not even going to get on the ballot. Like that's not the goal here, right? The goal is just to update the resume and say current candidate for president.
For president.
Right.
Nice.
And then after I killed the campaign, it'll say former candidate for president of the U.S. Like that's the only reason I'm doing it's just so I can say I did it, right? So I'm messing with Grok and I'm getting to build I'm doing the web page and all that, and I'm like, this is going to be interesting. So I told Grok to do something. I forget what I
Mhm.
did, and it gave me this whole long code, and I'm like, so I responded back. I'm like, Grok, what do you want me to do with this? Because I'm not a computer technician or whatever, right? Like I don't understand like what you're giving me Chinese here for all I know, right? Like it's
Right.
this whole code that's indented here, not indented here, indented. Like it's just, I'm like, so what do you want me to do with this? And it was, and so it shot back. It was like, take this whole code, and I'll repost it below, and copy it, and put it into an HTML block, put it at the top of the web page, and I'm like, copy
For fun.
HTML, update, refresh the page.
This is terrifying to me. Just
And
so
I
you know,
was
like you are
shocked.
letting a computer.
Right. I was shocked at the results, and I'm like, did I just did this just really happen? And it completely did. Like it was so amazing, and I'm like, whoa. So I built that web page. Then I
Okay.
did
All right.
I had to finish my daily journal. So I finished my daily journal, right?
Okay.
And then I did another page, which is
I love that you have a daily journal. That's adorable.
right, right. Well, and it's a quote for every single day. I love it. I
Okay.
love it. And
Okay.
I'll show it to you whenever we're done. And so um and so I did another thing. I said I wanted to do, like, I asked Grok, I'm like, what's the next project for me to work on? What would be a good project? And it said basically a digital meditation space. So I'll put that together, and I'm like, whoa, dude, that's not finalized yet. It's not finalized, but it is so cool. It's got a rain room, a stillness room, a forest room, a ocean room. Like, it's got all of these
That's
different,
really cool.
yeah. So like, bad to the bone, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah. No, people told me like I think I'm gonna use ChatGPT to write a book. And I'm like, no, because those are not your words then. Those are the words of other authors that you are taking and putting in a crock pot. Like you can,
Hmm.
you cannot do that. No, please
No,
don't.
no, like AI is, folks. Hear us out, okay? Because I think she's in agreement here. AI is good.
It's fun
Yeah,
tool. I use
right.
it for
It's
the
a great,
images.
great tool. Whether it's creating images, whether it's helping to create things like I'm doing with a couple of projects for the mental health, substance use, and all of that,
Mhm.
right? It's great for that. It's
I use it
phenomenal,
for description for videos all
right?
the time.
I do too. It builds all of my content across social media, but you cannot get it to do everything that you want it to do 100% of the time, all the time. So be mindful of using AI, whether it's Grok, Chat GPT, whether it's Claude, Perplexity,
Mhm.
whatever it is. Be mindful of what you're using, how you use it, when you use it.
Because the work is not copyrighted. So whatever you create, you do not own the copyrights for, actually.
Yep. And then you also have to legally, you have to put in a uh if you're doing
AI
something like that, if you're
created.
selling it, right? Like,
Mhm.
mine is not for sale. Anything I'm doing right now is not for sale, so I don't have a disclaimer on it as far as like made
Created by
with
AI
Grok
or yeah.
or helped
Mhm.
created with the right. I don't have that on there because nothing I'm selling, right? But if I were to sell it, for my interpretation of the law, I would have to put some type of disclaimer up there, like uh, created with the help of AI, and then I'd have to actually name the AI system, such as Grok or Chat GBT or whatever I use.
Mhm.
So you are right on that one, absolutely. So
Yeah.
listen, we're coming down
Original work.
to right. Original work, yes.
Woohoo.
We're
All right.
coming down to the end of the wire. All
Yeah.
right. People wanting to buy your books, where can they find them?
I said this just a little bit earlier because I thought that was my cue, but loveunedited.com. If you go there, there's a link for Amazon to purchase that. Prodigal Son is up there. I have a book about miscarriage that's there, the poetry book I mentioned, all that stuff. Loveunedited.com. Let's connect. You'll find everything you want right there.
Okay. And social media, you already talked about that. You're on
Yeah.
X, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff.
That's in that
You
same let's connect button though, like the
okay,
TikTok and Twitter, all the things.
cool
So
deal. Cool deal. And if there's one thing that you hope people get away from this, what is that?
you are loved. Your story matters. And the things that you are facing, whether it's shame or addiction or feeling insufficient, are things that other people feel too. You are not alone.
And what is your call to action for people?
Follow me on Instagram because I am having trouble breaking those numbers. No, follow me on Instagram. I would love to see you there. I have a viral video on TikTok that's been doing really well. And I also, if you sign up for my newsletter, you get to read 3 free chapters of The Prodigal Son. So come find me. I'd love to connect with you.
I love it. I love it. Well, folks, y'all heard it best from her, not from me, but from her. Uh, Follow her on Facebook, follow her on social media, Instagram, TikTok, X. Follow us too while you're following her.
Follow one moment. Like
Right.
I'm going to do as soon as we're done here.
I will send you my link tree.
Perfect.
Right. Oh man, listen, we've had a lot of great laughs. We've had a lot of some serious moments too. Folks, everything we do is educational in nature. We don't give out clinical advice. We don't do anything to, we're just another resource,
Mm,
right? So take what we say with a grain of salt. Use us as a resource. Listen to us for hope. Follow us on social media for hope. All of that stuff. If you need help, seek somebody in your local area,
yes,
whether it's a
please.
therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, medical doctor, nurse, local emergency department, local crisis center. 988 is a national suicide and crisis hotline. Of course, you have 911. You have the domestic violence hotline, sexual abuse hotline. There's so many resources out there. Utilize your resources. Keep yourself safe. Yes,
Mm,
we were laughing about a lot of serious situations about what she was going through with the domestic violence and things like that. Everybody's perception and experience is different. We talk about serious stuff, but we like to shed light on it. We like to also bring fun to our show. We like to break stigmas, break barriers, give perspectives. And so, if you were triggered at all, please utilize your resources. Please, please, please. I cannot say that enough. And any final words from the amazing star?
I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for your listeners that if they are struggling with something today, that they would go get the help they need and that they did find joy and hope and maybe some levity in our conversation today.
I love it. Thank you.
Peace out. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not going. I will not leave the room. Or yes, I will not hang up.